Hello, my friends, and welcome here. I did something I was very terrified to do. Let me back up a little bit. For those of you who maybe are new here, or maybe this is your first video you've ever seen of me, I'm Aimee Esther. I live with multiple chronic illnesses. I have lived with chronic pain and chronic fatigue for 8.5 years now, and it has been a long, painful, hard, sad journey. And I have been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, POTS, endometriosis, PCOS, chronic migraine, SIBO, IBS, gallbladder disease, mast cell activation syndrome, Hashimoto's disease, like just so many problems. And yet I always felt like something wasn't right. And although most of those conditions I felt were a correct diagnosis, and I have been working on all of those things, the one in particular that I never really felt right about was fibromyalgia, because when I got diagnosed with it, I did not pass the fibromyalgia pain points test. I also felt like it wasn't my doctor saying, we figured out what's wrong with you and this is why you're in pain, but instead was, we don't know what's wrong with you, and since we can't figure it out, we're going to call it fibromyalgia because we don't know what it is. But I just didn't seem to fully connect with people who had fibromyalgia. Their pains and their problems seemed just slightly different than mine. And I tried lots of treatments and medications and none of them worked for my pain. I have had chronic muscle pain and so many kind of random issues that we haven't been able to figure out. And finally, we did. So if you've been watching my channel recently, you probably know that I posted a video that said I have EDS. There's a whole story as to why I didn't know I had EDS. I finally posted a video testing myself on camera because so many people had mentioned it to me here on YouTube, and you all said, yeah, Aimee, go freaking get tested for EDS. And that's when I dove headfirst into it. I learned about it. I watched videos of people doing it and realized, oh my heck, I have EDS. I was 100% sure that I had EDS. There was no doubt in my mind, but I was scared. I was absolutely terrified to actually go to a doctor and get an official diagnosis, because of my past experience with going to doctors, telling them about these frustrations and these pains and the fatigue that is debilitating and the struggles that I have every freaking second of every day of my life, and being told that nothing was wrong with me and being gaslit into thinking that it was all in my head, or I wasn't doing the right things, I wasn't eating right or exercising right, and that's why I was still sick. And I was so scared to even ask because I was so confident that I had EDS that I didn't want a doctor to shatter that confidence and make me feel like what I was feeling wasn't real. So I posted a video just so that I didn't keep you guys hanging here on YouTube saying I have EDS. And I didn't say whether or not I went to a doctor. I was very vague in that video. And there were a few comments that said, hey, did you get officially diagnosed? No, I did not at that time. Well, actually, okay, we'll get there. But finally, I got over my fears. I went into the appointment so nervous, but also so confident that this is what I had. And I just decided that I was going to fight and not do what I have done in the past with doctors and let them kind of walk all over me and say like, oh no, that's not a real thing, or no, you don't have it. But my confidence was so high that I had it that I decided I'm going to go in with that confidence. And if he doesn't help me, I'm going to keep fighting until I get this diagnosis, because I know that I have this condition and it completes my story. So all that to be said, I went in and I sat down with the nurse and told her, I think I have EDS. And I said, I know I probably look like a hypochondriac, because if you look at my chart, you can see how many times I've come to the doctor, not just him, but GI and these specialties and this, like so many times do I go to the doctor for different things all the time. And she said, well, yeah, most of our EDS patients feel like they're hypochondriacs and they have a lot of problems and people can't figure it out, and they've had a lot of testing and it all comes back negative and it's really hard to figure out. And that was so validating. One, to know if the nurse knew about EDS, the doctor's going to know a whole lot about EDS. And then she left and said, okay, the doctor will be in a few minutes. And I had about 5 minutes to myself and I said a prayer. And I have said prayers like this so many times in the past, which is to pray that the doctor will be inspired and know how to help me, as well as that I will get the help I need, and that I will be believed, that the doctor will care about what I have to say. And I felt instant peace. I felt like God knew me and he heard me. And I knew in that moment without a shadow of a doubt that this doctor was going to help me. And I just felt confirmation that there was a reason that it did take me this long to figure this out, and that I had finally made it, and today was the day. And let me tell you, it was. So my doctor came in and he is so kind. That is a whole personal story about how I met him, how I started working with him. It's God's hand is in this whole journey. I'll just tell you that. I immediately told him, I know what's wrong with me. Instead of saying, oh, I think I have EDS, I said, doctor, I know what is wrong with me. I have figured it out. And he has been there on and off throughout this whole journey. And although he has a million other patients, I'm sure he doesn't remember everything about my story. He knows that it has been a long journey, that I've been for multiple things and had all these problems. And I said, I know what's wrong with me. I have EDS. I am confident that I have it. I said, I have this paper. It shows all the criteria. I'm happy to go through it with you. Let me know what we need to do. And he took the paper and he said, yeah, actually, this would make a lot of sense, because a lot of people with EDS have orthostatic intolerance, and which is part of POTS. If you don't know about POTS, I will, by the way, do videos going into more detail about EDS if you want to learn more about it. That is now on my list now that I'm feeling more confident in my EDS. But anyway, so even though I already knew POTS went along with EDS a lot of the time, him confirming that helped me know, okay, he does know about this condition. But we talked about how my uterine prolapse, my bladder and bowel prolapse would make a whole lot of sense, and why I had that so young, why I bruise so easily. He looked at my foot for those weird little bumps, and he had me do some of the finger pullbacks, see how my fingers bend certain ways and my arms. And here's the really cool part, again, why I know that God's hand was in this day and that my prayer was answered. One of the criteria in the Baton score, which is a test, I did the whole test on camera. You can go watch it to see what the test is and how to know if you have EDS. But one of them is to pull your thumb back to touch your arm. And that is one that you will see it in the video. I couldn't do it. And the doctor asked if I could do it. And I said, oh no, I don't think I can do that one. And I pulled it back and I touched my thumb to my arm, and I was like, in my head, thought, I don't know how I did that, because I swear I couldn't do it when I did the score last time. And somehow in that moment, I guess I just did it again, and you can't see it because it's being covered up with my hand, and I can't do it that way. But point is, apparently I can do that one, and he didn't diagnose me right there because he wants me to see a geneticist, because there are multiple types of EDS. There is hypermobile EDS, which is the most common type, and then there's a lot that have genetic testing that you can do to find out if you have that. And with my stretchy skin and stuff, there is a possibility to have a different one. And so we are going to go see a geneticist to get an official diagnosis, but the confirmation from him that yes, this is real. Yes, this explains your symptoms. He went over all the differences between EDS and fibromyalgia and how that diagnosis doesn't really fit. And I asked him, if I get diagnosed officially with EDS, does that take away the fibromyalgia diagnosis? And he said, yeah, I don't think that you have fibromyalgia. I think EDS would explain all of these symptoms. Wow, I shouldn't have done that because now my freaking thumb hurts. Okay, it didn't hurt yesterday. Blessings, but I guess I shouldn't do that unless I'm getting diagnosed with it. Unfortunately, the geneticist is 1 year out from actually going and seeing him and getting the official diagnosis. But I felt so validated. I felt so happy, and it kind of made me grateful for this whole journey that I've been on with my chronic illnesses and the long time it took me to get diagnosed with EDS, and just this journey that has been so hard and sad. And of course, it's not over, and it's not like there's anything that I can do to cure EDS, and it's not like my pain's necessarily going away or anything, but validation to know I'm not crazy, that feels amazing. And I just felt in that moment so much peace for why I was given this trial and seeing how much I had learned along the way and how it's made me a better person. And like I kind of mentioned, this doctor I had met with years ago when I first started my journey, he was actually my neighbor when I quit my job back years ago, 8 years ago now. And he has been there through the whole thing, and it made me look back and see how I've matured. Thinking about when I met him and how immature I was and the things that I thought about and cared about, and now how everything's changed. I'm having a moment here of clarity, of peace, of feeling like God has been there this whole time, and that there's a reason that I've had such a hard trial in my life, but that there can be beauty in the pain and that I can learn and grow. And I just have overwhelming peace right now. I feel confident, I feel blessed, and my pain is not changed. My pain is the same physically, but mentally, I feel a weight lifted off my shoulders. And even though I've known for a couple months that I had EDS, having it confirmed was a whole nother level of peace and comfort. And knowing that I wasn't crazy, not only that my pain was real, but also the feeling that I hadn't figured out the whole puzzle, and knowing that that piece that was missing, that I knew in my heart had been missing for years, but I didn't want to admit. And when I finally did, that's when y'all told me, Aimee, check out EDS. And I finally jumped in and believed you. I just know that this story happened for a reason, that this journey I'd been on was the way that it needed to be, and I'm grateful for where I am now and moving forward. So the next steps for me on this EDS journey are, of course, to learn as much as I can about this genetic condition. And again, I will share many videos sharing all the knowledge that I find to help me. I will share all that knowledge with you. And I'm also going to be seeing the geneticist. Of course, they are a year out of being able to see me, but regardless, I still feel good about where I'm at right now, and I can wait a year to see the geneticist. But in the meantime, my doctor does want to make sure that I have no issues with my heart, my veins and arteries around my heart. I don't really remember exactly what it's called, but with EDS, he said the scariest thing that can happen, it does involve your heart and can cause aneurysms, and that's the part that my brain kind of doesn't remember exactly, but there is some scary things that could happen. And again, even though I'm not officially diagnosed, because he is pretty confident I have it, he wants to double check those. So we are going to get an EKG, I think, on that. I will let you know when it gets closer. They're supposed to call me and set up that just to make sure that everything's good there and that there's nothing scary, and then everything else for EDS can wait until I can meet with the geneticist next year to get the official diagnosis. all of that fun stuff. Next to having my babies, of course, that was probably the best doctor's appointment I have ever had. All right, my friends, I hope you have a wonderful day. If you have any advice for me as I start this EDS journey that I've technically been on for years, but starting now, we would love to hear all the advice. I would love to hear all the advice. And maybe others. I don't know. Anyway, I'm rambling. Okay, I hope you have a lovely day, and I hope you're in less pain tomorrow than you were today, and I will see you on the next one. Bye, my friends.